Hi everybody, welcome. Come on in, have a seat and let's talk. I'll continue with a recap of the mysterious children in the next video. I also think I forgot to add the links to the old videos in the last video. But don't despair, when all has been said and done, I'll post all the links in a community post. But for now, let's talk. Okay guys, it looks like the ball is rolling. Well, for those who said nothing will change regarding Harry's visa under the Trump administration, well guys, it looks like you were wrong. Judge Nichols had ordered Harry and the Heritage Foundation to appear in court at 2 p.m. on February the 5th. Because Judge Nichols had previously ruled that the information contained in Harry's visa application remained private, the Heritage Foundation appealed it. At the same time, they requested that President Trump intervene. Niall Gardner said that he believes that President Trump does have the legal authority to intervene and that it is important because Harry's visa is an issue of the rule of law, transparency and accountability, and that no one should be above the law. And I obviously fully agree with that. Mr. Gardner further added that he fully expects that this time around action will be taken because Donald Trump is ushering in a new era of strict border control enforcement and previously stated that Harry should be held to account if proven that he had lied on his application or that there had been unfair practice regarding his self-confessed drug use. Well, that is almost exactly what I said in a previous video, isn't it? Due to President Trump's immediate action at the southern border and repatriation of thousands of illegals, he is in a position where he cannot do or say otherwise. What is good for the goose is good for the gander under the law. I obviously cannot predict the outcome or the final outcome of this case, but I can tell you what I think is going to happen. I think the Heritage Foundation did not and does not have the power to ask for Harry to be deported. All they want is to prove that the immigration rules and laws are not applied fairly and sometimes even selectively. However, I think the judge this time around is going to release the relevant portions or even maybe a redacted version of Harry's application, at which point the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services and the Department of Homeland Security will be required to act. Remember, the Heritage Foundation's case is against Homeland Security already. So Homeland Security is already fully aware of what is in Harry's application. And I'm going to add something here, and I'm going to say if that application even exists. Okay? I'm just saying. And I firmly believe that the Biden administration previously interfered and made sure the information is not released, which in turn already proves to me that there was something untoward in Harry's application. Okay, so then I think there will be a hearing to determine whether Harry should be deported or not. And Harry will likely appeal if the outcome is not to his liking. What makes this so interesting to me is that the process may become rather complicated and may also reveal other things we had been speculating about. You see, in the United States, a foreign citizen may buy a property without any restrictions and even get a mortgage, which I think in my country they can buy, but they can't get a mortgage or something like that. I must still go look it up. Anyway, if Harry is the human entity behind the trust which owns the house, then he may try to use the fact that he owns his own home to his favor in his case or in his pleadings. That is if he can, because quite frankly, I do not think he is the human entity behind the trust that owns the house. But we will have to wait and see. They are definitely not renting the place, but knowing what I know, it is very much Charles's style to buy a property using the name of a newly established trust and or different entities. But who knows? We know he did give Harry about £7 million to establish himself in the United States as a sort of severance pay, or so I'm told. But then we can also ask whether Harry was dumb enough or allowed for himself to be manipulated into making Meghan the human entity behind the trust owning the house. Well, there's a good likelihood or possibility that the truth about that, among other things, may also come out in an appeal, should there be a hearing to deport Harry. Okay, now that is what I think. For now, I believe the Heritage Foundation will get a redacted portion or version of Harry's visa application. And I think it is not going to bode well for Harry. I think he will be in for yet another legal battle, and luckily we do not have long to wait to see whether I am correct or not. I see Paul Burrell was asked about his opinion on the Vanity Fair article, and while he admitted that he did not know Meghan and never met her, the parts about Harry, he says, are pretty factual and reminiscent of how he remembers Harry: spoiled, entitled, and difficult. With William's recent visit to Cornwall, which I think was great and fun, there were, of course, a few who again piped up with the previous claims and concerns that Charles and William are benefiting from, among other things, the rental income from the NHS and charities and the like. But again, I had whispered into my ear that William is working very hard behind the scenes to change a lot of things. I'm told that due to the nature of the changes, it will take a while and will not all happen at once either. Although I had very specific questions, I did not get very specific answers. So at this stage, I'm just mentioning it, I'm just saying. I had one of my questions answered though. What happens to the Duchy of Cornwall if William becomes king while George is still a minor? Well, firstly, George will automatically become the Duke of Cornwall, but William will either continue to run it along with the Duchy of Lancaster or will appoint someone to run it on George's behalf. But that person will still have to report to William. Did you guys see William's collaboration with Big Manny? Now, I did not even know about Big Manny until yesterday, but I thought the video was cute and cool, and I think it is so important for the royals to show their human side. But I'm sorry, guys, but Charles has become even more unapproachable, elitist, snobbish, and a sad sack since he became king than he was before. I'm convinced that, as disgusting as it may sound when you hear it for the first time, but rather think about it before you criticize too harshly, okay? I think King Charles's illness is saving him and his reign at the moment. It is my opinion that despite the current criticism, it would have been 100 times worse had he not been ill. I'll even be so bold as to say that I think a referendum would have been in the bag had he not been ill. There's a reason why we talk about humanity, because humans tend to be sympathetic or then humane when it comes to serious illness and the like. We tend not to kick a dog when he is already down. But Charles is making it hard, and even harder by the day. And as much as I hate to say it, and I know you will not believe me because it is known that I'm not a fan of the current king, but as I just said, we tend to hate saying hurtful things about a seriously ill person, and I'm no exception. But in this case, isn't it also true that we are not just talking about a single person, but about an entire country? Anyway, I have a habit of digressing when I'm going to say something I'm not sure I should. But you know me by now. Okay. I'm told in very hushed tones that there are rather serious concerns about King Charles's mental health and stability. I've heard rumors before, but it was all wiped away with perfectly logical explanations like, remember, his mother just died, and the year before that, his father, or, it's the stress of the coronation. All legitimate excuses until it wasn't anymore. Anyway, folks, this gives me no pleasure at all. Remember, I had a TIA at 54, and although I thank God for my miracle recovery, I remember only too well how frustrating it was not to be able to do what you want, when you want, and not to be able to go back to work. Luckily, it was that which brought me here. It is said that although it is 100% normal for Buckingham Palace to be on the ready in case something should happen to the monarch, plans were set in motion for Elizabeth's demise the day she became queen as a woman in her 20s. But in very, very muted, hushed tones, I'm told there's a different kind of nervousness among Buckingham Palace staff lately. My whisperer said, however, that he does not think it is due to any imminent demise, but if it was up to him to guess the near future, he would say a regency may be in the cards before the end of the year. But remember, it isn't fact, just his guess, because I pushed him for it. Okay, guys, and then there's just one small mention on something far less important. Now, I think it's wonderful that Beatrice and Edo had another little baby. Yes, she came a little early, but although tiny, she's just fine, so all good. But you know, it is really starting to tick me off the way she is now following in Meghan Markle's footsteps by showing the back of a head or a foot or a hand, or like in this particular picture, a covered face. If you do not want to show your child, and many people don't, and they can't be blamed, then don't show her at all. Post a picture with a pink teddy or pink flowers along with your announcement. Really, I find these kind of photographs increasingly insulting. I feel it has nothing to do with safety and security, because if it did, why are they showing Edo's son Wolfie's face? Is he less important because he does not have royal blood? Or is it because he's a boy, in which case Beatrice and Edo need to go educate themselves? Maybe they just feel that us plebeians are not good enough to gaze upon the faces of their daughters, in which case they are actually not insulting us, but rather the likes of William and Catherine and Mike and Zara and Peter Phillips, etc., who had all acted normally, taking their children to polo and church and other events where we could gaze upon their cute and sometimes mischievous faces and love them, because after all, they are only children, at least for now. Okay, guys, that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one, which will likely be part 4 of the Harkle debacle babies. So until then, please take exceptional care of yourselves. Bye.